everybody. Hope y'all had a great holiday season. And now that it's over, I'm going to get back into doing some of these videos. Today, I have a special guest. It's Stephen Pustilnik. He is what we call our pen doctor here. And so he does all of our nib customizations, repairs, and things like that. So Stephen, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself?
My name is Steve Pustilnik. I am by trade a forensic pathologist, and I have been collecting pens since I was in my elementary school days, and I really got into collecting fountain pens basically when I started in medical school, going to junk sales and antique shows and stuff like that.
Okay. So what was like your first pen? How did you get into pens to start off with?
I always liked the kind of cool clicky pens, Bics and Papermates and stuff like that. And my mother, who went to Hunter College in New York, when she was there, she used a Waterman, and she wanted to buy me a Waterman for me to use in school. Like, she loved her Watermans as well. So we got I forget what it was, like a $13, I don't know if it was a Laureate or something like that, or maybe it was pre-Gentleman, and it was horrible. I didn't know how to use it. I had ink all over everything. It leaked everywhere. I didn't know what the heck I was using it like I was using my ballpoints, just throwing it in my book bag. So of course it wasn't functioning very well. But so I just put it down. I went back to ballpoints and rollerballs, and then when I got into medical school, I came up with a Parker 51, and I loved it, but the diaphragm needed to repair. So I went to a place in St. Louis, a office supply store that still repaired fountain pens back in the early 90s. And the little guy there that was doing their stuff there, this old gentleman, said, you know, don't worry about it. It costs more than the pen is worth for me to repair it for you. So that's when I decided to figure out how to do it myself, to repair pens. And then I got in touch with, I don't know if anyone remembers Father Terry, the Jesuit priest who sold all the repair kits and all the repair stuff that he would hand do. And for pennies, you could buy these things from him with his little handwritten little notes that he would handwrite on how to use this, how to repair this type of pen and whatever. And I still have those. So I learned a bunch from Father Terry and other pen people that I speak to at the shows. And that's how I ended up collecting and repairing vintage pens.
So how did you get, I've known you as long as I can remember, how did you get to our store? How did you become our repairman?
Well, when I passed my my boards, I decided that I wanted to celebrate by getting myself a nice pen. So hey, there's a pen store. At the time I was living in Alabama, but I was coming back and forth to Houston regularly, and there was a pen store here. So I wanted to get a nice fountain pen. So I came in and I wanted to order the Delta Crocodile from their Animal series, and I got it here as a sort of a thank you to myself for passing my boards. And then I came back later for a Dolce Vita oversize. And as I was sitting here, I'd come back every once in a while. There was a little older gentleman here who had brought his Parker 51 in. He was talking to your dad, and he was in his 70s, and he had used this pen in college, and he wanted it to get repaired, cleaned, whatever. And your father didn't know what to do with it because you weren't doing vintage stuff here at the time. And I was just standing close by. I said, you know, I can repair that. So your father said, okay, here, I'll trust you to do it. So I took the pen, I cleaned it and flushed it, reset the nib, cleaned it out from years of neglect, brought it back, and did it that way for this gentleman. And then we started getting into doing other vintage repairs.
Alrighty. That's a really cool story because I honestly didn't know that myself.
That's because you were this big when that happened.
So I know you're on top of you doing pen repairs. You've been a collector for a long time. Why don't you tell us about some of your favorite pens?
My favorite pens, as you can imagine, probably rotate, but I have some that I have favorite pens and favorite grinds. This is one of my most favorite pens, which was my first Nikaya. It's the Pine Tree Celluloid. I don't know where I picked it up from, but they don't make it anymore, but it was a good size for me, and this had the soft, fine nib to it. So, and I was writing with, before this I was writing with just fat, broad nib pens, but for whatever reason, spontaneously made the switch to fine and ultra fine nib pens. And so you can see that it makes beautiful fine lines, but it has that flex, that beautiful soft Nikaya flex to it. Makes my crappy handwriting look
somewhat decent.
Somewhat decent.
I wouldn't say good.
Yeah, not good at all. So I used this pen every day for about 2 years because I wanted to write through one whole bottle of ink. So I took this pen and a bottle of Noodler's Black, because everything's got to be waterproof that I was using in the morgue to take my notes and stuff like that. And I used up the entire bottle of Nude Black with this fine nib, and it took 2 years to go through that one bottle of ink. My current favorite pen, it's not so much a pen. I love Pelicans, but it's taking a Pelican and then grinding it to a sort of a double extra fine italic, which is what I did with this one. It's great for note taking, it's great for general writing, it's great for me working in the morgue and taking notes and stuff like that with it. So I ground it to a nice fine, double extra fine italic. So this is my current go-to pen. The one previous to this was the demonstrator with all the little indicators on the side of it.
Alrighty.
This was one of my. I used this one for quite a long time. This was one of my first Orfeo oversize. This is the Vertigo 1, and a gentleman came in here. He had an Orfeo oversize, and he had just mangled the nib. He just dropped it and crossed it and whatever. And your father sold him a new section feed. That's when they were $129 to get the whole thing. And the guy just left the nib here. I can't use it, so you keep it. So your father gave it to me, and it was just mangled. So I straightened it all out as best I could, and I turned it into an oblique italic. So it's a reverse italic. So it's fine on the downstroke and broad on the cross stroke. This is the architect's nib. This is the Arabic italic. This is the Israeli italic, the Hebrew italic, whatever it is. So it just reverses your handwriting. So it's a lot of fun to write with, and this was a save, as for the nib at least.
Yeah. What is this one here?
This one is one of my vintage ones, one of my prized in my vintage collection. This is a Conklin Nozak demonstrator. The original demonstrators didn't have a demonstrator cap; they had a demonstrator only the body, and this has the original Conklin Toledo gold nib, and you can see that on the side of it is the word gauge. This is a 5M word gauge, the M being thousands for the Roman numeral for thousands. It was a selling point. You could know how much you had left to write by the ink level that was left in the pen. And then there was, if there was a regular size that was a 5M, then there was also, where is it? Then there's oh, here it is. So this was the oversize here, the larger size. You can see it, and this was the 10-sided version of it, and this is the 7M, and you can see here it goes to 7M. You can see that 7 is sort of in the middle, but when on the reissue of this Nozak by Conklin / Visconti, I think it was at that time, they did it, and you can see the size difference of all three of the pens. Here they made it a 7M as well, but the 7 is all the way down here at the turning knob for the backfill. So this is just commemorating the original design of the Nozak.
Right. So I guess that's some of your favorite pens. I did want to talk about some of your other stuff that you do. It's really cool. Stephen's a man of many hobbies, and whatever he gets into, he goes hardcore. And so what he's really working on now is some kitchen knives. So how did you get into making knives, custom kitchen knives, all that?
Well, I was suffering for many years with having crappy knives in the morgue, and I wanted to have a better knife to cut organs with. So I went to a local knife maker and we designed a knife to cut organs with, out of better steel than the crappy Dexter Russell 420 quality steel that was made out of, the knife the ones that the restaurant used with the white plastic handle. Don't hold an edge. So I spent many years trying to figure out how to keep that thing sharp, and then I kind of got into better chef's knives and upgrading my Chicago cutlery and my globals to better Japanese knives, and realized it's the steel, stupid. So I had this better steel made into a chef's knife, and then into an autopsy knife, and then I had a better custom chef knife made, and then I started becoming friends with him, and we started working in the same shop making chef's knives. He had his style, I had my style, so now I do chef's knives for Massimo Bottura, Wolfgang Puck, Michael Voltaggio, Scott Conant, Andrew Zimmern, lots of local chefs here, Beard Award winners like Chris Shepard, one of our great chefs, Brandy Key, as well as chefs all over the country. So I started using sort of high-tech, high-alloy steels to make my chef's knives. And this is filthy dirty because I was cooking with it this morning. Anyway, so this is This is not tool steel. This is tool steel. This is steel that you use to make tools, to make steel implements and stuff like that. It's very hard, very high tech, very high alloy steel. Use lots of burls. This is a purple dyed box elder burl, a silver twill, a little lapis trim to it. I make the leather saya, the blade protector to it. This is a knife that I tooled the leather saya with. This is multi-dyed California buckeye burl. This is sort of a resin with embedded aluminum shavings. Kind of looks kind of fancy. This is a Hanasuke. This is a boning knife. It's a Japanese boning knife. And this one is a design of my own as well. This is a Iberico ham butcher knife. Big, huge curving blade for the way that they butcher the Iberico ham. Not slice the ham after it's processed, but actually butchering the animal itself. This is with leopard wood, gold twill, little red lapis. So using funky steels and stuff like that. So that's been a lot of fun. And now I'm 100+ knives, custom knife orders in the hole right now.
Alrighty, Stephen. Well, thank you for telling us all your story. Stephen is here at Drum Ghouls almost every Saturday, hanging out in the afternoons, customizing pens, doing custom nib grinds, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to come meet him in person, you're certainly welcome to, or if you need any work done, he'll be glad to help you with it. But I appreciate you coming in. And
thanks, Mike. It's always been a pleasure working here with the second generation of Drum Ghouls at the store. Actually, the third generation.
He's the third, I'm the fourth.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You had the typewriter shop over out west as well. I've been there once. Anyway, follow me on Instagram, Penman88, for my knives, some pens every once in a while. And if you like, kind of come to the store and hang out. It's like Cheers here. Come out, talk pens and talk philosophy.
Alrighty, thank you, and please like, subscribe, comment to the video, and we appreciate it. Have a good one.